as Floki reports to King Sweyn that the main army in Wessex is winning. It's only a matter of time before the Danish army conquers the land. If all goes well, they will be victorious come winter. Floki goes on to explain how Thorkel won the Battle of London and that Canute is missing in action. Ragnar and Thorfinn prepare to protect the prince from archers back in Wales. Gratianus tries to reason with the Welsh, but their poor relations with the Danes and their invasion of England force the Welsh to put on a show to save face. Askeladd presents the meat prince, telling him to address the situation because there will be attackers, but he's too anxious and hides behind Ragnar, who defends him. Ragnar explains how difficult life has been growing up in a royal family for Canute. The Welsh grow impatient, so Askeladd and Gratianus agreed to tell the leader their plans to avoid any conflict and secure safe passage. Thorfinn is disgusted that he and the prince are the same age. The Welsh leader agrees to speak with Askeladd and Gratianus alone to save face and avoid risking their reputations. Askeladd asks Asher, the Welsh leader, if he would be willing to join them depending on the reward. Noticing that he offended Asher, Askeladd said he's just kidding. Bjorn becomes suspicious while the leaders talk. Despite knowing Askeladd for years, he still doesn't know that much about him. And speaking Welsh is the least surprising development. Gratianus helps explain to Asher that Askeladd is the son of Lydia, making him a descendant of the leader of the Roman Celts, a descendant of Artorius, commander of the Britannia army, who fought off the invading Saxons, making Askeladd only half Dane. Due to his upbringing, he secretly hates the Danes. If Askeladd can get Canute on the throne, he will broker a deal to never march on Wales again. Then Thorfinn provokes Canute to speak aloud to someone other than Ragnar. Snow begins falling. It looks like winter is coming early. They plan to head to Mercia, then march to Gainsborough to meet up with the main army. The snow covers the ground in a small village as a young girl asks God whether someone who commits an act considered sinful, no matter how small, is welcome in heaven. Two brothers from Askeladd met tell Willibald the priest about Thor and how he said a true warrior doesn't need a sword. Eyes wide, he repeats the phrase to himself all night, having a profound revelation. In his search for what love really is, Askeladd decides to raid the village where the girl was praying in the snow, much to Ragnar's dismay, because he does not want to make enemies of Mercia. The little girl and her family sit down for dinner, where she questions God's judgment and plan. She leaves to find the ring that she stole from the market hidden in a tree, fearing God's wrath and being separated from her family in the afterlife. That's when she sees them, the Danes, at her front door. The priest tries to warn the town, but is quickly silenced. The pillaging begins, throwing the village into a panic. They gather all the villagers. There isn't enough food for everyone, and with the chance of being discovered by the enemy, they slaughter the village. Executing them all before burying them in a mass grave. The girl survives, escaping into the night. She addresses God, not with anger or animosity, though she feels elated and free. Loki tells King Sweyn about the battle where Canute went missing. The king blames his son's weakness and inferiority, whose brother Harold has the reason for being taken. When Thorkel is second in command relays the news that King Sweyn is winning the war and that continuing to fight against him is a death sentence, he decides to change sides again. Back in Mercia, the priest questions God's love, expressing his doubts. Canute snaps at him, asking him how he dared question God's love. The girl who escaped tells the Thorkel men about the slaughter at her village, and they prepare to march on them. Askeladd and his men of the approaching enemy groups, Ragnar invites Thorfinn to join him and the prince for dinner, using the rabbit he caught for the stew that Canute is making. He is surprised that he can cook, as princes were not permitted to learn how to cook. It was the job of a slave. Two of Askeladd's men burst through the door, reporting that the English had arrived. Ragnar follows them to give Askeladd a piece of his mind, realizing that the sounds of battle are coming from a different direction. It's too late. A spear pierces Ragnar's chest from behind as soon as he draws his sword. Demanding to speak with Askeladd before he dies, Ragnar reveals that Canute's real enemy is his father, King Sweyn, not the English. Canute is devastated upon seeing Ragnar's corpse. Askeladd leaves Thorfinn in charge of Canute to go question the English captain. Thorkel and his men arrive before they can get any information from the captain. Some of Askeladd's crew have defected and tried to join Thorkel instead of being welcomed. Their surrender only makes Thorkel more confident. They must be scared. Askeladd orders his men to destroy a bridge that crosses a shallow river. Despite their protest, it's a waste of time in their eyes and only makes them question his leadership even more. Thorkel shows up after Askeladd orders Bjorn and Thorfinn to take the prince and gain some distance in a sled. The men's morale continues to drain after Thorkel throws his spear, skewering 4 men at once. Askeladd traitorous men surround the sled with the prince on board in an attempt to capture Canute and win favor with Thorkel by handing him over. Lydia tells young Aska about Avalon, and where King Artorius, their ancestor, waits in paradise to return one day to liberate his land, asking her son to become his sword. Back in Mercia, Askeladd addressed his men before they potted, revealing that for the past decade of working together, he's actually hated them the entire time. He begins attacking his own men while Bjorn and Thorfinn attempt to escape on a sled with the prince in tow. Instead of attacking the passengers, their pursuers slaughtered the horse, causing the sled to crash. Thorfinn steals a horse to go back for Askeladd, while Bjorn takes a stand, eating a berserker mushroom and telling them to all attack at once. After finally subduing Askeladd, Thorkel catches up with them. Instead of accepting their surrender, Thorkel tells his men to kill all the rebels while sparing Askeladd. Just when Thorkel wonders where Thorfinn is, he shows up on a horse, enraged, charging at Thorkel, who begins to wind up and uppercuts the horse hard enough to stop it, and its heart sent Thorfinn flying. Landing safely, Thorfinn begins screaming at Thorkel to leave Askeladd for him. To everyone's surprise, Thorfinn isn't one of his followers, but his enemy. Thorkel agrees to duel for Askeladd life, and they both square up, preparing to duel with a crowd of rowdy Vikings.
Come on! He's coming for you, boss!
Damn, the cuts aren't deep enough.
As witnesses watch, Thorfinn rushes him. If he can see his attacks, he can dodge. He lands a hit. No good. Thorkel is wearing chainmail under his tunic. Thorkel reveals that Thor wasn't a descendant of noble blood like Thorfinn thought. He rose through the ranks because of his battle prowess. It was Helga, his mother, who was the daughter of a Jarl, a king. If he wants to know more about his family, Thorfinn must entertain Thorkel some more, at which point the Vikings begin to laugh when Thorfinn accepts the challenge. But Thorkel isn't laughing. He tells the men he considers Thorfinn to be a warrior, and they shouldn't be laughing. They should take Thorfinn as seriously as he does. Askeladd wonders what happened to the prince. Canute lies in the snow, wishing it was all over. When he sees a vision of Ragnar, he apologizes to Canute for raising him like a regular kid against the king's wishes, but Canute thanks him. It's time he stops dreaming. It's time to wake up. Canute wakes up to find Bjorn going berserk, killing everyone in his path. The priest is glad he isn't hurt, but tells him Ragnar didn't love him. That watching 62 men being murdered for the prince's safety isn't true love. Thorfinn lands a few hits on Thorkel, who asks him what makes a true warrior. causing him to have a flashback to when his father told him the answer to the same question. Canute asks the priest what true love is. He tells the prince that the feelings Ragnar felt were not true love, but discrimination. True love is found in death, in the cycle of life, in nature, and our return to nature in death is love. Thorkel sends Thorfinn flying with a kick, causing Askeladd. To lose any hope of survival, Bjorn turns his blind rage towards the prince. The priest says he's insane, but Canute says everyone is the same. No one is sane. Canute calms Bjorn down, rejecting God and vowing to create a paradise on earth. He will give meaning to their battles, to their lives and deaths. Thorkel approaches Thorfinn, who comes only to find his arm broken, leaving him unable to fight. Askeladd walks over and demands Thorfinn allow him to help, while Thorkel sits down and promises to tell Thorfinn about his father, Thor. In the days before Thor took his family to Iceland, he and Thorkel were commanders of the arms of the Vikings. After the Battle of Jörunga Walk in 987 AD, Thorkel believed he had perished until 3 months after Thor's funeral. He caught Thor and Helga trying to leave in the night with Thorfinn's infant sister, Ylva. It turns out that Helga is the daughter of the Yams Viking leader and Thorkel niece. Thorkel tries to stop Thor from leaving, because it was a death sentence without the permission of the Yam Viking. But Thor quickly beats Thorkel without a weapon and agrees not to tell his brother the Jarl. Thorfinn refuses to answer any of Thorkel's questions but agrees to heed Askeladd's advice that Thorkel's weakness is his head. The duels continue, and Thorfinn feigns defeat. Just as Thorkel lets his guard down, Askeladd uses his sword to reflect the sun, temporarily blinding Thorkel. Thorfinn quickly takes advantage and kicks Thor in the head. After knocking him out briefly, he begins to attack until Thorkel men fend him off and attempt to kill him. This enrages Thorkel. How dare they disrespect his honor in their duel? Before anyone moves in for the kill, Prince Canute arrives and orders them all to stop. Whoever dies in this fight will die in vain. Admitting defeat, Thorkel orders his men to let Thorfinn go. Canute tells Thorkel that Askeladd and Thorfinn are his followers and that he's taking their sled and supplying. The prince tells Thorkel he has no value as a hostage since his father, King Sweyn, wants him dead anyway. Canute tells him he's going to Gainsborough to fight the king. Thorkel recognizes the look in Canute's eyes and admits he regrets not following Thor all those years ago, never learning what it means to be a true warrior. He agrees to help Canute fight the king and pledges loyalty to the prince. Askeladd bursts out laughing and walks over, pledging his sword to the prince. Admitting he killed Ragnar, Canute tells the men whoever wants to follow him, they can. He's going to tear King Sweyn from his throne. Floki receives the news but refuses to believe that Thorkel would follow Canute and is completely shocked when he is proven wrong. Canute warns his new followers to be cautious and to gain as much favor as possible, knowing they don't have many allies. Canute refuses to forgive God for the suffering of everyone on Earth, promising to create a utopia no matter what it takes, even if he must become a demon to achieve it. Thank you for sticking until the end. Subscribe for more videos like this.